and thinking about disclosure. The disclosure isn't about just the ET disclosure. And that's so, so true. Um, it's a time that is really crying out for disclosure. Um, and you always start with the intimate experience that you're having, and you're looking at the world through your own paradigm that's based on your past conditioning, your experiences, your interpretations of those experiences, um, your desires for what you want to manifest in your life, your desires for what you want to see in your life, which kicks in the selective perception. We see what we want to see, and we have a tendency to look at things that will reinforce our worldview. And if we're looking at things that are different than our worldview, then it's human nature to double down, to hang on to it, to even triple down before we hang on to it or before we're willing to let go. So the first disclosure that I look for is the disclosure of the love of me to my human aspect. And if you really open up to that disclosure, then you're putting yourself in a position of evolution for your highest good. And if it's for your highest good, it's also for the highest good of all involved. Feel into it for yourself, saying what parts don't resonate like they used to, what parts really want to evolve. And so, in allowing the fluidity of evolution to happen, it's like you stepped out of the either or thinking that the world is so wanting to sustain now. And in stepping out of that either or thinking and allowing yourself the fluidity, you're allowing your understanding grow and become more intimate and more personal and deeper and more in alignment with the infinite unconditional love of who you are. Very much like a relationship with two people, the more you dialogue between two people, then that relationship can become a richer one. And so when you allow yourself that fluidity of disclosure of deeper understandings on anything, whether it's a religious upbringing and allowing the evolution of your understanding of what's the essence of that teaching, or it's with relationships, anything in your life, relationships with parents, with children, with colleagues at work, with clients, with bosses, with whatever. If you allow the first disclosure to happen from you, deep within you, the divine soul of you, to disclose how infinite unconditional love can move in your life in different ways, then that is good. So that's your first dialogue with yourself. Then you look for the disclosure of different points of view. So instead of doubling down on your own point of view, look for the disclosure of what is that other person thinking and feeling. Why, talk to me about that. What does that mean to you? And as you're listening to what does it mean to them, open up your mind and your heart. Feel it in the body so that you can understand them in different ways. And you will certainly understand yourself in different ways. You may not agree with the way that they're looking at the world, but with a deeper understanding, then it develops your empathy. And in developing empathy for other points of view, you also develop more empathy for yourself, and that evolves that whole situation, or evolves that whole community structure, and then when you're looking for disclosure with a tremendous curiosity of just, oh, what is that? What is that about? Then it happens in like this whole other plane of moving because you're much happier about it. So the first step to the disclosure on that is you have to step outside of your either or thinking, that us versus them thinking. You have to step out and you have to get into the dialogue. You have to dialogue with people that are different than you, learn from them, because then the more that you dialogue, the more you actually understand. that our thinking isn't that far apart, but you gotta have the courage to dialogue. We could create, working together, we could create a whole new direction that would be for the highest good of all. And so, as on a small scale, there is on a bigger scale, what I would really encourage people to do and using your light, and whether you're a light worker or not, use your intelligence, use your human intelligence to say, I want more emotional freedom in my life. And the way for more emotional freedom is to let go and stop doubling down on, the us versus them thinking. I want more clarity in my life. Well, then let go of thoughts and ideas that may or may not serve you anymore. But the only way you'll know that is by getting to know people who have got different ideas and dialogue with different ideas. So I want more emotional freedom. I want more clarity. And while you're at it, I want more courage to forge a new life and stop being a victim to the system. And even those and when I say victim to the system, I don't mean, knocked down on the street. I just mean a victim to the us versus them system, a victim to that, to where whether you realize it or not, you're blocking the richness of the human experience that comes from relationships, that comes from human connection, that comes from understanding that we are in this together, whether we like it or not, on this beautiful little planet. And so that you can start to live with more authenticity, not be afraid of the warts and boogers that you've been hiding in your subconscious or hiding to one side, hoping that the world doesn't see it. Stop falling prey to the inner critic that says you're not enough, or you're not up to it, or you can't do it, or who are you to? You no longer are a victim to that. You no longer have to subirse. You no longer have to hold yourself under that weight. You take off that cloak. You take off that prison guard and stand tall and say, here I am, world, warts, boogers, and all. And guess what? It's pretty cool. So I want to get to know you. I'm going to let you get to know me. And so for the first disclosure, disclose to yourself the love of you and disclose that to the world, and have the courage to allow other people to disclose themselves to you. And from that beginning step, then that can filter out. And there's amazing things that we can accomplish because we are created to evolve. And so why not? Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for being interested in learning on how to live your light more fully and freely with emotional freedoms that you haven't even yet begun to dream of. And that gives you the courage and clarity to live your divine soul purpose. Now, just so that I play well with the algorithms here on YouTube, be sure to like the video. Please leave me a comment, because I do love more two-way conversations, and subscribe if you want to stay in touch with any of the new material that I'm putting out there.